police to go out and arrest people for crowding, arrest them for drinking, arrest them for noise.
A passionate debate over short-term rentals in Austin. Some are upset over the changes city leaders will consider next month. So here to break it all down for us is Mike Kanin, the publisher of the Austin Monitor. So much has been happening with this, and they've kind of been going back and forth. So what exactly happened yesterday?
They passed the first basic set of changes to the rules. These include something like a guest registry, so folks who maintain these properties have to also keep a list of the folks that are there. I imagine this is so you can sort of go back through the history and see who's been doing what.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that they did was that they also sort of gave code the ability to revoke a license if there's some, as they call it, bad acting going on. The big question, and one of the bigger questions still unanswered, is the occupancy limits question. They wanted to enforce a hard occupancy limit at 6, a hard stop at 6 people per house no matter what. As we reported this morning, as Joe Clifton reported this morning, it's pretty easy to go on HomeAway or Airbnb and find a bunch of places that can sleep a bunch of people.
Sure.
And neighbors have been complaining that this is a big issue.
So even if it's a 5,000 square foot home, they still say a 6-person limit?
Yeah, they showed some pretty impressive pictures yesterday. I mean, I'm sorry, yes, so even if it's a 5,000 foot home, yeah, square foot home, yeah, there would be a hard limit on 6 people.
How about that? Well, yeah. But is this really a problem? Well, obviously it's become a big conversation, but in reality, is this a big problem? Are they getting a lot of complaints to the city about this?
I think some folks were saying yesterday that the complaints maybe don't necessarily match the size of the problem. And I think that what's interesting here is that code enforcement doesn't really have any ability. They can't knock on your door and say stop. They can say stop, but they can't come in and verify that there's a problem. And multiple council members pointed this out yesterday. Multiple council members were talking about the lack of teeth in anything. Don Zimmerman, Pio Renteria, so it was across all spectrums. Everybody saying that code enforcement hasn't been enforcing rules that exist, and some of the industry advocates were saying the same thing, and that there aren't any real teeth to this legislation.
Yeah, and there's always politics behind anything that becomes this much of a big conversation. Yeah. So what is the politics behind this?
There were some interesting moments yesterday at City Hall, and there was a very explicit shot from Sherry Gallo, Councilmember Gallo, toward the direction of the city manager's seat, who actually wasn't there when she delivered the shot, and she noted that he wasn't there, had hoped that he would be there to hear the conversation, because she wanted to send a message, I think, to him and to his staff that it's on them to make sure that this stuff gets enforced. And I think she was trying to set a bar. We hear that there's been some pressure perhaps behind the scenes about this specific issue. It'll be something really interesting to watch sort of developing as the rest of this happens.
And we're out of time, but this gets taken up again September?
In mid-September, yep.
All right, lots still to talk about. Thank you as always, Mike.